Hello and welcome to our presentation on I always assumed that I wasn't really that close to her, reasoning about invisible algorithms and news feeds. In essence, this paper examined the algorithm that Facebook uses to distribute their newsfeed to users and what that newsfeed does to users once they found out the algorithm exists. So, Billy,
So this research was based on a couple ethical questions that came up. Should algorithms that filter search and feed results be open or hidden from users? Or is this even ethical in the first place? From a design perspective, it's very ambiguous whether users should be open or aware of this algorithm in the first place. As for the ethical question, some people believe that this algorithm is very intrusive on people's personal lives, and it shouldn't be as restrictive on what gets through these newsfeed searches.
in fact, some people actually postulate that some algorithms may enforce racial, geographic, or political discrimination as well. But going on to the next slide, this study is actually asking the general Facebook user base if they're aware an algorithm exists that determines their newsfeed for them. And not only that, what factors help an individual become knowledgeable about this Facebook curating algorithm. Furthermore, do individuals that use Facebook think that this algorithm does a good job? Does it present to them everything that they would want to see in a user experience, or is it actually restricting what they want to see itself? And lastly, do users alter their behavior once they have this knowledge, or do they remain the same? Are they satisfied with their Facebook experience or otherwise? And now to the next slide.
So the team whose paper we're presenting on right now made an experiment to answer some of these problems, and they split it up into 3 phases. In the first phase, they get a group of 40 participants together and ask them questions mostly about their current Facebook use and their awareness of this algorithm that affects their newsfeed. Later in phase 2, it's actually revealed to the participants that this algorithm exists, and data is recorded based on how they react to this information. They're also given an opportunity to modify the algorithm, and data is recorded on how exactly they do this and in what ways they change the way the algorithm works. Later in phase 3, they're again assessed on their Facebook use to see if there's any changes.
In phase 1 of the project, users, 40 of which there were questioned about their use of Facebook and whether they were aware of the algorithm's existence in general via various questions that didn't directly ask about an algorithm per se. The incredible thing about this was 2 groups were formed, an unaware group and an aware group, and in a surprising twist in events, 62.5%, a majority of the users, were found to be unaware of the algorithm in the first place. And among these, only 37.5% were aware. Aware group users demonstrated a higher level or higher number of engagements per day than unaware users did of Facebook.
Some interesting data was revealed after the participants were shown that this algorithm actually exists. One particularly interesting point is that most participants were initially very upset when they realized that there was this algorithm working behind the scenes or almost behind their backs, making the decisions for them about what they see. Some participants even claimed that the way the algorithm affects their newsfeed actually, in turn, affected their relationship with their friends and family. For instance, if the algorithm causes a user not to see a certain friend's post, they might assume that that friend is just being distant to them, when in fact it's actually this algorithm working behind the scenes.
2 to 6 months after the experiment was conducted, participants, were questioned as to the effect that the experiment had. The majority, 83%, reported using Facebook differently after the experiment. And despite the initial shock and surprise, 24 out of 30 participants that reported afterwards actually expressed more satisfaction or the same level of satisfaction with Facebook as they had initially had. This would indicate that knowledge of the algorithm would correlate with satisfaction. However, individuals should know about the algorithm in the first place in order to avoid the shock and surprise. Furthermore, 21 out of 30 participants reported actively altering their newsfeed settings in order to achieve what they wanted in their newsfeed.
Especially in terms of interaction design, the question of whether these algorithms should be viewable or hidden from the user is very important. The more traditional hidden algorithm might be preferable because it's more streamlined and the more complicated workings of it are hidden from the user. However, this algorithm hides important information from the user and how their newsfeed is actually structured. On the other hand, an interactive algorithm would be better for people who want more control over their experience. However, this could be a bad thing because the user might be frustrated about how complicated this algorithm is and in how to interact with it.
In closing, we agree with the findings that the study presented, that users should be presented with the knowledge of an algorithm existing behind the newsfeed, as well as various methods to which they can modify the algorithm to create a more personalized approach to their newsfeed. Thank you.